and welcome to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Ozer Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Prashant, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to another good show.
Me too. I'm so excited about today's show. Ozer, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Good, good. I love having you both in the studio because I know things have been so busy for you, obviously, from the week before when we were together. The call center was going crazy. We were talking about that before today's show opened up. You actually have received so many phone calls, so many appointments were being booked because people have a lot of questions right now. Today's topic specifically, I know they're calling in about taxes. Wow, why is everyone so focused on taxes right now, Prashant?
So I think one thing that we all see is the way that the government is spending money, right? Like over the last couple of years, we've unlocked as a government trillions, with a T, trillions of dollars for stimulus, for government funding. There's been so many different spending bills out there. And that's an issue, right? So one thing that I've noticed is this correlation, or this opposite correlation, I should say, of the federal debt going up, but income tax rates, specifically the marginal tax rate, top tax rate going down, right? And so at some point in time, someone's going to have to pay for this debt. And we've been down the path of printing more money to pay for things. Now we're left with record high inflation. So the natural thing is, if we have to pay for this debt at some point in the future, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, the logical way to pay for that is through increases in taxes, and that is going to hit the retiree the hardest. The folks that are listening and watching the show that have been doing the right thing for the last 30 or 40 years, you've been diligently putting money away into your 401k, your thrift savings plan, your 403b, and guess what? Every dollar that you've saved was pre-tax, which means when you go to withdraw it, that's going to be taxable. Wow. Taxable federal, taxable state, creates an income tax domino, which is a huge issue.
Absolutely. Ozer, I should ask you, if people are coming into the office for the very first time and they haven't planned properly for taxes, what are some of the things that you, Prashant, and Nick would put together for them?
The first thing, again, what we looked at it is the income, right? And most of the time what we see with our clients is they are working at this years and they're making, let's say, $200,000 a year. But Prashant said this before, when they do retire, some of them make close to the same amount of money they are making. So their taxes are not going to get lower. And what we do believe is actually it's going to get higher with what Prashant says. You know, how we're going to close this deficit in the government, we're going to have to raise the taxes. So we have to take a look into a couple things, like the roth conversion is the most important thing. And when we look at the roth conversion, we need to make sure that how can we do these roth conversions before you get into the next line? Because the tax bracket is the one thing. The mistake some of the people that doing it we've seen is they do convert $200,000-$300,000 and they were in a low tax bracket. Now they're in the high tax bracket. We want to make sure that we don't pay more than what we're supposed to pay on the taxes.
Ozer, thank you. Prashant, a lot of people have questions about the difference between a Roth contribution and a Roth conversion. Can we unpack that a little bit today?
I think it's a great thing to do. So when we look at Roth contributions, that's when we're taking after-tax money and we're contributing to a Roth IRA. It's a great strategy, but it's incredibly restrictive, right? Not everybody can do it. There's an income threshold. So if you're a high income earner earning a couple $100,000 a year, married filing jointly, you may not actually be eligible to make a Roth IRA contribution. So that creates an issue, because how are we supposed to save in a tax-free way if the government restricts us and doesn't allow us to contribute? So that's what a Roth contribution is. Conversely, a Roth conversion, anybody can do it. Doesn't matter what your income is, whether it's high, low, or somewhere in between, you're eligible to do a Roth conversion. So anybody can do it, and there is no requirement to be working. There's no requirement to have an earned income. The only downside to the Roth conversion is that we have to pay all of those taxes in the year that we convert. So if I earn $100,000 for the year, and like Ozer said, if I convert $100,000 from IRA to Roth IRA, that conversion of 100,000 counts as ordinary income in the year that I make the conversion, which means I'm going to be required to pay federal and state tax on that.
Okay.
Right? So the key here is making sure that when we make the conversion that we don't go into a higher tax bracket if we can avoid it. Or if we're going into a higher tax bracket, we need to make sure that it's the right thing to do. And so what I would say to folks is that there is no cookie cutter solution to this, all right? What your neighbor did or what your coworker did or your golf buddy did is not necessarily the best thing for you, which is why I think it's really dangerous. You know, we hear about the water cooler talk. You're around the office, you're talking about your retirement plan with your colleague, and they say, well, I did this, and now you assume that it's the right thing for you to do. I would caution people against doing that. You really need to have a custom tailored plan for yourself. That way you know that it's going to work for you.
Okay, all right. Ozzy, is a Roth conversion a difficult thing to do, or is it pretty simple once you have everything in line?
When you have everything in line, it's not a hard thing to do.
Okay.
All you have to do is we do work with the CPAs, and we do mock tax returns to make sure that we don't go into the next tax bracket, and we have enough money in the bank to pay the taxes. Again, the biggest mistake you can do when you do the roth conversion, paying the taxes from the IRA that you are taking the money out. Remember, there is a reason we are doing the roth conversion, so we can turn that money into a tax-free bucket, and that money can grow tax-free, so we can take money out tax-free.
You said something really important there, which was this idea of creating a mock tax return, right? So I think a lot of people probably have a tax preparer, right? They prepare the taxes every April or whenever the tax filing deadline is, but they don't do proactive planning. So the difference between a tax preparer and a tax planner is the tax planner is going to prepare a mock tax return. If we converted $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, this is how your overall tax bracket would change. It's a great point you bring up there, Ozzy, but if you're working with the right specialist, they should have the resources, or they should work with your tax provider, tax planner, to do those mock tax returns to make sure that you're getting the best advice possible. I kind of think of it as working with like a dream team, right? I call it the financial dream team. You want to have a financial advisor who's specialized in retirement. You want to have a tax advisor that knows what they're doing. You want to coordinate both of those things with the proper estate planner, an attorney who can help you transfer your wealth and create a tax efficient legacy in the future. But the most important thing is all of these professionals, they need to work together. You don't want one professional offsetting the advice of another. And so that's why I think it's important to have a comprehensive and coordinated team when you go to plan your retirement. So that's what we do. We do it every single week. Cynthia, as you know, let's open up our phone lines. Our phone number is 833-308-5200. When you call into that phone number, folks, you're going to have the opportunity to call into our call center. We have operators standing by, and they'll take your phone call and they will help you get on our calendar for the next 2 weeks here in our office in Ellicott City. We only have a limited amount of spots, so I'm sure those appointment spots will go fast. It's 833-308-5200. When you come in, it's totally complimentary. You'll be able to sit down and put together a Retire Smart roadmap. And that roadmap is going to allow you to understand how prepared you are to live the retirement that you want. It's going to include an income for life plan, which will show you how much income you're going to have coming in every year for the rest of your life. It's going to account for inflation, the threat of rising taxes, and we'll even take a look at a portfolio stress test, which will show you in good markets and bad markets how your portfolio would be anticipated to perform. It's an extremely valuable resource. We'll do it totally complimentary for anyone who wants to call in and get on the calendar. That phone number again, 833-308-5200.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 833-308-5200. We know you're probably sitting in the audience today having a cup of coffee and talking amongst yourselves about, is this the right thing for you to do? Well, if you're not sure, it never hurts to have a second opinion, right? From a fresh set of eyes. Take advantage of the opportunity today. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by calling 833-308-5200. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'm going to talk to Prashant and Ozzy more about taxes on Retire Smart Maryland. Stay tuned.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Ozzy Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Gentlemen, a wonderful first segment we had today talking about such important topics, taxes, of course. But I want to talk about something so specifically right now, if we could, Prashant. I love the book, actually. Chapter 6 talks about rescuing your IRA. And I love this book, by the way. I have read this several times. When is part 2 coming out?
Yes, so we got some things in the works. So thank you to all of our radio listeners, TV viewers. They've been getting copies of the book. I've gotten a lot of feedback on it, and so we're making some edits, and we have some other stuff coming out. Very exciting. So I appreciate that. But yeah, chapter 6 in the book is called Rescuing Your IRA, right? And so we just talked about how your IRA is a pre-tax retirement account. So let's think about this. You did a great job. You saved $1 million for retirement, but it's all in an IRA. So is that IRA really worth $1 million by the time it's all said and done? Probably not, right? Because every time we take money out, Uncle Sam has to get paid along the way. And so when I talk about rescuing the IRA, we talked a little bit about Roth conversion, but we also have to look at how that IRA is going to factor into the rest of our overall retirement plan. So what I mean by that is you look at Medicare, for example. Right? So Medicare Part B, one of the things that your premium for Medicare Part B is based on is your income.
Okay.
And so with that IRA, when we get to age 73 years old now, we are required to take distributions out of that account, which is going to increase our income, potentially increase our tax bracket, potentially increase the amount that we're paying for our Medicare benefits. And I always joke, just because we pay more for Medicare benefits, does that mean we actually get better health insurance?
Right.
No, it's not how the government works, right? And so when we talk about rescuing your IRA, we have to look at strategies to help you minimize your tax liability. We talked about Roth conversion, but also examine how that's going to impact what you're paying for your health benefits in retirement. As we know, healthcare is a huge issue in retirement, and people know it's an issue, yet they don't take the proactive steps to actually plan for it. So why is that? We got to start thinking about these things in a more comprehensive type of way.
And I love the fact that Prashant just said, because you have $1 million in your IRA does not mean that you necessarily do have $1 million, because obviously Uncle Sam is always there waiting. Do a lot of people come in and they're wondering about that? If they say to you, you know what, Ozzy, I have my statements right here. This is the amount that I know I have. And then you bring clarity. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, again, sometimes what Prashant says is true. Like the people look at their statements, they have $1.5 million, $2 million in the individual retirement accounts. It is pre-tax, unless it's a roth, it's a pre-tax money. And when you want to start to taking money out, you're going to have to pay the taxes because it's an ordinary income at the year that you're taking the money out. And that's the important part of the planning is when you take out $100,000, how much you really going to net? Then we have social securities coming in, we have pensions coming in, like Prashant said this before, like 100,000 plus another 100. Now you're at $200,000 and you're probably in a different tax bracket than $100,000. So you're going to have pay more taxes and maybe you're going to be able to net like, $65,000, $70,000. So the million is not really a million, but if you do plan it correctly, you might be able to be ready when the time comes in that important part is the net. How much net it's going to come in, because that's going to be the determinant of the income that you're going to get for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Like what if you needed, say, $10,000 a month? Like pretty typical income for our clients is you need $10,000 a month to live your most fulfilling version of retirement. Well, let's say you add up your Social Security, your pension income, subtract out any taxes, and that only gets you to $7,000. Right? So you needed 10, you only have 7 coming in. This $3,000 a month is what I would call the income gap, right? So how do we fill that income gap? Well, we're going into those IRAs that Ozzy's talking about, and we're taking that $3,000 a month out of our $1.5 million IRA to fill that income gap. But if we needed $3,000 a month in our pocket to close the gap, how much are we actually going to have to take out to be left with $3,000 a month after we pay all the taxes? Is it $5,000? Yeah, right? Is it $5,000? Is it $6,000? Well, think about this. You have $1 million saved. It's a lot of money, but if I'm taking $6,000 a month off of $1 million, and then I go through a year like 2022 when the market goes down by 20-25%, and now my million is only 800,000 or 700,000, am I going to run out of money a heck of a lot quicker taking $6,000 a month out?
Sure.
Absolutely. And so $1 million is a lot of money, but by the same token, $1 million may not be nearly enough unless you have the income that you need. And especially when we look at the stock market, look, I'm a big believer in the market, okay, but I'm a big believer in the market over time. It's been proven through decades and decades and decades of history that as long as you participate for a long enough time, there's a high probability chance that you're going to be successful. But when we get to retirement, what is the one thing that we just don't have quite as much of?
Time.
It's time. And so the question fundamentally that we help people deal with is how do we use our money to create time for ourselves? And this is something that I don't think a lot of advisors are talking about, is this idea of using our money to create time, okay? If you've been sitting at home thinking about this, saying, you know what? I can't afford to go through another bear market. I can't afford to go through another 2 or 3 years like 2022. Then you need to pick up the phone and you have to give us a call right now. That phone number is 833-308-5200. When you come in to visit with us, it is totally complimentary. You leave your checkbook at home. When you come in to visit with us, you're going to get to know us. We're going to get to know you. But more importantly, we're going to give you what you need, which is a Retire Smart roadmap to ensure that you are on track to the retirement that you deserve after decades of hard work. Okay, but it starts with that phone call. It's 833-308-5200. Call now.
John, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen. That number is 833-308-5200. Or if you have your smartphone handy, go ahead, grab it, click on the QR code in the bottom corner of your screen. That's going to take you right to retiremaryland.com. You're going to be asked a few questions. You can put that information in, and someone will get back to you shortly. Again, remember, this is your retirement. You've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years of your dreams. You deserve to have clarity and peace of mind. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. I want to talk a little bit more about market volatility. We kind of tapped in on that a little bit with this segment. We're going to dive in further when we return.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Ozer Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Gentlemen, a wonderful show that you're delivering to the viewers at home today, allowing them to understand what things may look like in their roadmap to retirement. Prashant, I'd love to talk a little bit about market volatility. I know we've talked about the importance of staying in the market, but we know it can be like a roller coaster.
Yeah, it can.
It's kind of up and down. And what advice do you have for people that are thinking about just pulling it all out and just putting it into cash?
So have a real plan in place, okay? You don't want to be making emotional decisions, meaning when the market's really good, you don't want to get too high on that feeling. When the market is bad, like we saw in 2022, it's a scary time, and I'm not going to discount that emotionally for anybody, okay? It's a tough thing to go through, but if you have a real plan in place, that's what empowers you to remain committed to the process, right? And so what does having a real plan look like? We talk about this idea of using buckets in our office. And if you come into our office, you schedule one of those appointments by calling into the call center, you'll come into our meeting rooms. We have these big whiteboards in there that have buckets printed on them. We have a blue bucket, a green bucket, and a red bucket. And so positioning your money across different buckets allows you the opportunity to not make rash emotional decisions at the wrong time. Can you talk a little bit about these buckets and kind of what they mean and how people utilize them?
That sounds
So
great.
when the people comes in, we take a look at, okay, how much do you have? $2 million. Right now, you are heavily invested in the market.
Okay.
And what happens if the market goes down? Are you going to be able to afford the down drop on the market at your retirement? So we look at it, what should we do to divvy up this money to make sure that we have all the income coming in for the rest of our lives, thinking about the Social Security, and put that money aside. And make sure that that money is never, ever going to lose any value. It might be able to make some money out of it, but that's not the important part. The important part is the income.
Sure.
As long as you have your income needs being covered, you can take as much as risk you want on the other side of the money. And when it comes down to, okay, how are we going to protect this? There's a lot of stuff out there, and you can take a look at all this stuff. It might be an annuity, but I just wanted to tell something about this. Like, not every annuity also is the same. You gotta make sure that if you're gonna go into that route, you are getting the right one, because there is a lot of them out there. Some of them are good and some of them are not good. You just need to make sure that what is gonna be working for you.
What if they're sold at a steak dinner, Ozzy? I don't know.
So you gotta be careful with this. I mean, that goes to any financial decision you're making, right? So whether you're considering a particular stock, an annuity, a bond, a mutual fund, I always say you have to begin with what's important. I think so many times we go in to see a financial advisor and they start talking about the best stock or best annuity or best mutual fund. And to me, that is absolutely 100% the wrong place to start the process. I always say begin with what's important. And so what's important is figuring out what you want your retirement to look like and what that is going to cost you in terms of real dollars. So if it's your vision to travel the world, to spend more time with your grandkids, to volunteer in your community, to play more golf, to do whatever it's going to make you happy, we need to figure out how much income it's going to need coming in for you to live that way. And then we can figure out which stock, bond, mutual fund, annuity, whatever fits into your plan, but don't fit your plan into a product. Make sure that there's a process behind how you're selecting your investments. And that's really what working with a fiduciary is all about. And Elite Income Advisors, our firm is a fiduciary, right? So when you come in and visit with me, for example, I'm going to sit down with you and you know that you're getting advice that is legally required to be in your best interest. It's not about products, it's about processes. And that, I think, is what is incredibly important. And that's kind of a shortcoming of the financial industry in the last 2 decades, is you see so many brokers out there who are incentivized to sell you products. And that is not the right way to plan, in my opinion.
Right. And you both, gentlemen, you said the same thing, that as long as you have your income needs met. And I love the fact that working with a fiduciary, you're giving the same advice that you would give to your family and friends, even though it's someone just coming into the office for the very first time.
Absolutely. And if you look at it like my father, my brother, they're both clients of ours, right? And that's because we're giving fiduciary advice. So I can say when it comes to investments in the portfolios that we end up utilizing with our clients, it's literally the same stuff that I invest in, that I recommend, that my own father invests in. So you're right, working with a fiduciary means that you're getting advice that is custom tailored for you, and so that you know it's going to be in your best interest. And look, when people come in to visit with us, you're not agreeing to become a client. In fact, we're not even agreeing to take anybody as a client. What we're doing is we're providing you what you need, which is the tools to essentially evaluate your situation today and understand what's out there to make the best decisions for yourself. So we're running out of time in today's show. Let's go ahead and pull up the phone number here. It's 833-308-5200. You can call our call center. We have operators standing by ready to schedule your appointment with us in the next 2 weeks. We do have a limited number of spots for those appointments. So call in, schedule that complimentary Retire Smart Roadmap review with us at Elite Income Advisors. You can also scan the QR code, visit retiremaryland.com, capture a complimentary book and ebook as well.
Gentlemen, thank you for another amazing show. To our viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us today. Once again, Retire Smart Maryland. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back here 1 week from today.